Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is on the line with us, a Democrat from Rhode Island, live whitehouse.senate.gov is his website, live from the DNC. Senator Whitehouse, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm curious what, first of all, your thoughts on clean energy as the key to global competitiveness. I know this is one of the issues that you really care about.
Yeah, I think we have a real obligation to our economy to make sure that in the international competition for the next generation of clean energy technology, we don't allow ourselves to get left behind by other governments that are investing heavily in this and supporting their private sectors more than we do. We are at risk of being, instead of the innovators and manufacturers of that new generation of technology, to be just sitting here as its consumers, adding to our balance of trade problems and of missing out on the manufacturing possibilities that we could seize if we innovated and manufactured here in the country in this new emerging field.
Well,
and
you know,
it's huge. I mean, it's trillions of dollars.
Yeah, it was 1865 was the year that Colonel Drake drilled the first commercial oil well in the United States in Titusville, Pennsylvania. And in the 1870s, I think it was 1877, 78, anyhow, it was during that decade, was the first time that the federal government actually started providing subsidies and tax breaks to the oil industry to encourage it, right? And then some of this came as a result of Mr. Rockefeller's lobbying. And to this day, now, what is it, 150 years later or something like that, we are still giving tax breaks, subsidies, and cash payments to the oil industry, the coal industry, basically the fossil fuel industry. When are we going to step into the 21st century?
We should have done it a long time ago. It is ridiculous to be providing taxpayer-funded subsidies to oil companies while they are making the biggest profits in the history of corporations anywhere in the world. Yeah. They are making more money than they know, frankly, what to do with, and yet the taxpayers being asked to chip in and give them even more. It really doesn't make sense. And in the longer term, we have a responsibility to our children, to our grandchildren, to our planet, to get this right. And the longer we depend on polluting fossil fuels, the worse we make it for them. We're at the point now, I think, where 40, 50 years from now, our grandchildren will look back at this generation, and the one issue that they will measure us by more than any other is, were we attentive to this issue when we knew what the problem was, when we knew how serious it was? What did we do? Did we meet our responsibilities? And I'm ashamed to say that right now, the answer would have to be no. And the reason would be the worst of all possible reasons. The reason would be that we were too beholden to special interest money and influence. And so it's really important to get this right.
Right. Brought to you, and that beholdenness brought to you courtesy of the 5 right-wingers on the U.S. Supreme Court, which brings up the importance of the presidency, because there's probably going to be 2, 3, maybe more Supreme Court nominations coming up in the next 4 years. I mean, you've got 4 or 5 people on the court who are well over 70, and at least one of them is not. 2 of them actually are not in very, very good health. That really highlights the importance of this election. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a really vital decision. It's also, I think, one of the worst decisions the Supreme Court has ever made. I've heard colleagues compare it to Plessy versus Ferguson.
Yep.
I think it's probably more comparable to Lochner versus New York.
Yep.
These are decisions that over time the Supreme Court has corrected. It knew that it made a grievous error, and it has corrected itself.
Well,
we need to have that happen on this Supreme Court, and new appointments will be one way to do it. There's no justifying the Citizens United decision.
Yeah, my favorite analogy actually is to Dred Scott, because in Dred Scott, the court ruled that people are property.
Yeah.
And in Citizens United, the court ruled that property is people.
Yeah.
So, it's just the mirror image of Dred Scott in some ways. In any case, I'm sure you watched the Republican National Convention.
Bits of it.
Yeah, okay, and so did I. I mean, I didn't see the whole thing. I saw, a couple hours every night. And I've been watching the DNC, and you're there. it seemed to me at the RNC that most of the people giving speeches were promoting themselves. They were talking about how wonderful they were, almost like they were auditioning for 2016. And it's been very clear that every single person speaking at the DNC has been talking about President Obama and the importance of re-electing him. Is this convention, really that focused on that? Are people genuinely excited about re-electing President Obama?
I think very much, and I think that the last few evenings of speeches have really hammered that home. I think that Michelle Obama's description of her husband's values and the personal reasons that he holds those values, how his experience has shaped him to hold those values, really set a wonderful tone. Was a great speech, very well delivered, and as my daughter pointed out, she looked fabulous too.
Yeah.
And then along comes President Clinton, and last night the home run he hit, I mean, that ball is still flying. He really did a wonderful, wonderful job at taking a look at the Republican message that they propagated in Tampa and taking it apart, showing how it was either outright false or stood on false premises. And one of the great things about this convention, I think, is that there's been a lot of truth-telling and not a lot of propagandizing.
Yeah,
and I think now we've got the chance for the president to hit his own home run tonight, looking forward to his vision for the future and of this country.
There you go. Hang on just a second.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THON.
Sorry, that guy always comes in and steps on me. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, thanks so much for being with us, sir.
You're very welcome, Tom. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.